So thanks for joining us today. We look forward to a fun and informative session today. And today we want to talk about Microsoft Power Platform, more specifically Power Apps, and how it solves modern business application challenges. We also want to briefly tell you a little bit about who we are as an organization, and finally showcase some custom app examples that can create some thought and ideas in your mind on how you can use this piece of technology. And we also want to finish by answering all of your questions. We'll do that at the end of the webinar. And you should be seeing your first poll on the webinar on your screens right now. So if you guys can please fill that in, it's super helpful for us. And let me just do a quick introduction. My name is Max. I'm a business engagement manager here at Advaiya. And participating with us today is also our CTO and president, Dharmesh, and Shane, who's an operations engagement manager. I believe they have their cameras up. So before we get into Power Apps and its business applications, I just want to give a short introduction on who we are as a company. So we are a consulting organization that basically works with our customers and partners to make technology work for them. Our sole goal is to take the pieces of tech that you already have or that you would like to deploy and make them work in a way that has been specifically for you. So we basically work on tailored solutions using different technologies such as Microsoft Power Platform, business applications, Power BI, Power Apps, virtual agents, Dynamics, and down the line. And we bring these technologies together and integrate them in a way that works for you. We want to make sure that the organizations are utilizing technology implementation and investments in the fullest and getting the most out of the capabilities of these systems. So where we fit in is we focus more on service-based organizations, and by that I mean field services, project services, professional services organizations, and for large enterprises where the departments are service units, for example, IT services, customer service departments in any large company. Our sole expertise is around the service industries, and that is what we try to bring into our customer base. And the solutions that we work on are related with customer engagements that involve the overall customer relationship management. We build solutions that give a sort of new model experience to their customers or for the people that are serving the customers. We create solutions for work management and enhancing productivity. So in work management, we work with Microsoft project-based solutions or field services management, work order management solutions, dispatchment management solutions, inventory, and basically connecting everything together with an ERP to ensure that there's a flow of entities from the very beginning to the very end. And throughout the whole cycle, there's a lot of data that gets used. So for business insight solutions, we have teams who are experts in creating the overall data infrastructure, coming up with Power BI-based representations and semantic data modeling. In terms of expertise, we bring our Microsoft Gold partnership expertise. So that's around Microsoft data and analytics, cloud management, and many more. And the logos you see here at the bottom are some of the customers that we work with. We do work on multiple technologies, and our goal is basically to be a business that is as supportive as possible and give that tailored and defined solution for those businesses. Our experience has allowed us to gain many insights into what customers need. We have more than 17 years in the business and have operations worldwide. We are headquartered in Bellevue, Washington in the United States and in Udaipur in India. So with that said, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the Microsoft Power Platform. So to help empower your people and elevate their talents. Microsoft basically combined the capabilities of 4 services, right, into a unique, powerful, low-code development platform. And what I mean about low-code is that you don't need to know how to code in a traditional way using, for example, Java, C++, or Python, or any other language for that matter. It is a visual approach to software development. And while it does require a lot of skill and technical knowledge to work on these platforms, it is much more efficient in deploying a variety of solutions. And in fact, Gartner estimates that more than 50% of mid to large businesses will be utilizing a low-code platform by 2023. So while the Power Platform has capabilities which will impress any seasoned developer, it is more designed to be approachable and accessible to those who work on the front lines of a business. So digital transformation means more efficient use of your data to gain insight, which leads to more intelligent business processes and decision making. One of the foundational goals of Power Platform is to empower the potential of citizen developers who could use its capabilities to unlock insights and develop processes that would otherwise never surface. So the Power Platform is a singular low-code platform that spans Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure, and also standalone applications. So to quickly go over the 4 services, you have Power BI to connect and analyze your data and present them visually. There's PowerApps, which is the topic of today's webinar, and it is used to build apps that easily connect to data. It runs on the web, iOS, and also Android devices. Power Automate adds powerful workflow automation directly into your apps that connects to 100 of popular apps and services. And then finally, with Power Virtual Agents, you can add virtual bots to automate your services and communication. So why Power Apps? Well, there are certain business application challenges that we face today, and one of them is the app gap challenge. So basically, there's a growing demand for software development, but not enough developers to build them. And companies are moving to the cloud at a tremendous rate, and small businesses are also taking part in this digital transformation, if you will. Many small businesses have traditionally relied on manual or outdated methods that simply can't keep up with the quickly changing business needs or customer expectations of modern commerce. Over the next 5 years, it is expected that more than 500 million digital apps and services will be developed and deployed, which is more than every app built in the last 40 years. So this demand for business applications is greater than ever before, and according to Gartner, it is growing 5 times faster than IT departments can deliver. And it's no wonder that 86% of organizations struggle to find technical talent. So how can we scale traditional code-first development to meet this growing demand? And what prevents us from doing our best work, even with all the technology and data at our disposal? So just to mention a few things on the slide, budget, time, and resource constraints are probably the most common IT challenges. And you know how it goes, right? Something goes wrong, or you need to establish a need for something, but it kind of gets swept under the carpet because you have other priorities. And as I mentioned earlier, traditional app development requires a lot of time from both sides and can be quite expensive as a result. Another challenge is having fractured or outdated business systems. So when systems rarely communicate with each other, it causes employees to spend more time doing low-value work. For example, think about the amount of effort it takes for submitting expenses or opening purchase order in contrast to the value that effort adds. And then think of that on an organizational level, right? Like how much time is spent manually taking information from one system and entering it to another. And with all that said, of course, there's also security and compliance risks. How many non-compliant apps are your employees using within your organization, and are they secure and monitored? You know, and that's a whole other topic we can go on and on about, but we'll have to save that for another time. Oops, I think I skipped a slide. So Dharmesh, I want to ask you, based on your experience, what are common challenges that businesses are facing right now?
Sure, Max. A few of the things that I want to highlight. There is some feedback. Is my voice okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So few of the things based on my experience, like I've been working with the industry for last probably 25 years now, and looking at kind of applications that people have created within their environment, within their organizations, I kind of classify the traditional applications that people have built in kind of a 3 or 4 buckets. The first one, simple Excel. Almost every organization is using Excel. And I've seen people using Excel sheets for entering the latest and greatest information, or creating an Excel sheet for sending a daily progress report, or creating an Excel sheet for submitting a timesheet or expenses, as Max was talking about. A lot of things are being done on Excel sheets. Now, the problem with the Excel sheets, I mean, it's a great tool, it's a great analytical tool, but when we start using it to capture information and to structure the information from a large group of people, we start getting into challenges. There's a lot of integrity challenges. There's a lot of things that happen. I mean, many of us must have experienced this, that somebody else opened up an Excel sheet, removed the column, removed a row, or added a new column, and the whole macro or the formulas that we have created now are getting messed up. I mean, there is a big integral issue that comes up with Excel kind of application. Then the other group of traditional apps that I think about within an organization are classic Access-based apps like Microsoft Access. It used to be a very easy tool to create a quick database and create quick forms and create apps, and then start promoting them within your enterprise or within your organization. Now, problem with those is, like, first, they're getting outdated. I mean, Access is pretty much old technology now. Number two, they are still file-based. They are still local file-based, which is kind of make it dependent on your particular access file, your particular machine, your particular things. Difficult to maintain, and the scalability has always been an issue with Access. They are old apps, so there's a high need for modernizing these kinds of apps. The third group of application I can think of is the old SharePoint apps, or old, if you are part of IBM Lotus Notes kind of era, a lot of people have developed notes-based apps. I'm hoping that people have moved on from there, but still legacies are legacies, and there are a lot of legacy applications that exist. And now what all these create? These create these kinds of challenges that you see on the screen. I mean, it creates a big problem for IT. It creates big problem for business. It creates big problem for people who have created those and maintained those. I mean, it's a pain for everyone. So that's where we are looking for some solutions. So Shane, can you please go ahead and tell us about how we can meet these challenges?
Yeah, thank you, Naresh. So as he was saying, there's basically a gap in there between your standard and traditional services. So while a lot of things are solved today by like an off-the-shelf SaaS solution or something like that, and that the idea that permeates our society really is that, hey, there's an app for that out there. But in reality, it's more like there's an app that's almost for that. So there's a lot of processes and things that are unique to an organization that you end up with a SaaS application that you've kind of shoehorned in that does almost what you need, but not quite what you need. And then a lot of organizations then fill that gap by turning to like a traditional app development. But there's really only so much of that you can do too. They spend a lot of time and money and effort into that, and there's only so much you can devote to it. So that's really where PowerApps comes in. So PowerApps is a low-code development platform. And what it does is it enables your organization to build these custom, unique apps that streamline everything and help to modernize and optimize your business processes. And with if you're already using Microsoft software, so with that software suites, it migrates seamlessly into that. It migrates into a lot of the cloud applications that are out there today with plugins and different things. And it really seamlessly integrates into all of these systems very well with all of those different connectors. Next slide. So just kind of to summarize it through that, so the PowerApps enables you to build a business app faster and easier than traditional development. It enables what Microsoft calls citizen developers, which is really what used to be called a power user. And those power users or citizen developers can work directly with professional developers and really make advanced solutions with PowerApps that still falls short of that development time that traditional development does. And then you can build solutions that scale, which Excel or Access or SharePoint sometimes doesn't scale for you. So these will scale, and you're still able to maintain governance and security and quality standards all the way through the development process into the app, usage of the app. And this is a platform that Microsoft is dedicated to developing, and they're leveraging things like advanced AI and analytics and bots and just more and more stuff every day. So you can really shift these apps into high gear, for the future. So Dharmesh, does that kind of fit what the challenges you were talking about?
Yes, they do. When you started talking about citizen developers, you started talking about like how people can start developing these applications. One of the fundamental thing with Power Apps and with Microsoft Power Platform was basically like we want to allow power users, citizen developers. There are so many terms for these to make these applications quickly. Now, important thing is. Our power users or our information workers or our office teammates, they come up with ideas very quickly. I mean, they're living this life daily. They have lots of challenges. They have lots of workflows that they kind of follow every day. There's a lot of processes they follow. I mean, those are the guys who are on the ground, who are living the systems and living the processes. They get a lot of ideas about like, hey, I wish there is something to do something. Now, that's where Power Apps kind of gives you that kind of capability. It enables everyone to turn ideas into applications or automations really quickly. They also allow them to figure out like, hey, you know what, this is the best interface, or this is the best way of doing certain things. There might be different kind of traditional line of business applications that allow you to create those kinds of things. There might be applications which are very complex to use, but instead all you need to do is enter some few information, and for which you do not want to go into opening up a traditional line of business application and go through 15 different screens and come up with some things. There might be ideas around automating those kinds of stuff. There might be ideas around creating some faster workflow processes, like you don't need to wait for somebody to open up an email and then click on a link and then go to a position and then probably enter some details and then hit approval button. Instead, you may want to automate certain things. So there are things that every organization or every citizen developer or every buddy inside the organization might be coming up with those ideas. The Power App platform just gives them a way of thinking about those kinds of applications and converting them into real applications real quickly. So that is the idea behind that main idea behind this low code, no code platform. So as we automate these processes and all, as we automate these applications and all, you need to start thinking about your investments. Now, you want to, when as an organizations, people have invested in Microsoft 365, Office 365, Dynamics 365, or whether Azure, or whether any of the line of business applications and things like that. We also want to make sure that you are utilizing those kinds of platforms in the best possible way. That's where Power Apps comes in very handy. Like, it can give you a quick way of building your solutions really quickly from ground up. Now, you might be using existing databases or existing line of business application systems, or Dynamics, or Microsoft Office, or things like that. Or you may want to create your own data model, and that's where Microsoft Power Platform comes up with this technology, which is called Microsoft Dataverse, which is a kind of a very business-centric data platform where you can actually create entities and data elements really quickly and things like that. Let's go and start defining like what are Power Apps and how Power Apps are kind of created. So essentially, there are three things that you need to worry about always. First is the data. where you're going to store the data. I mentioned that you can connect to any of the line of business enterprise systems. You can connect to any of the Dynamics Office 365 based data sets, or you can connect to SQL Server or Oracle Server or any of the data server behind the scenes, or you can create your own data structure with the help of Microsoft Dataverse. Then you need to work on creating some applications. Now, this application is basically a visual interface. Now, this is a platform where you can actually use a very low code and no code kind of an interface where you can drag and drop your visual elements, connect them with the data elements just using simple UI without writing code, add some validation things again without code or with very simple codes, and kind of make your application ready. Microsoft recently, and Shane just pointed out to me in the morning, Microsoft recently, like day before yesterday in the build, announced a new set of tools which are called kind of express tools to develop Microsoft Power Apps even faster. Now you don't even need to think about like where you're going to keep these boxes and things like that. You can draw your UI using simple sketch or simple scan and something, and the AI engines running within Microsoft Power Apps Studios can read those and convert them into a UI, a kind of a closest match, and then all you need to do is make the final set of adjustments, and it will start working for you as an app. So the idea behind this is that Microsoft wants to give you a very good, very fast way of creating these kinds of applications. Now, once you have created these applications, you need to start thinking about publishing them, because okay, you have connected to the data, you have created an interface. Now you need to make sure these applications are landing to the right users, and that's where you will use the publishing apps kind of thing, which basically takes a Microsoft Power App onto a SaaS-based platform where you can host these applications, and these applications basically runs on these can be kind of viewed on any of the interfaces like web, mobile, tablet. In fact, there are some creative ideas coming in people's mind, like where they are actually embedding these Power Apps into kind of a embedded apps, embedded machines and things like that. But those are all, again, advanced scenarios. But in general, we need to think about Power Apps can be utilized on almost any kind of software platform, whether it's a tablet, mobile phone, any kind of mobile phone, or basically Windows apps or Mac or Chrome OS, any of those kinds of things. So Power Apps gives that kind of universal layer across the devices, and you build one app once, and it's kind of available to all sorts of platforms to be used. Let's go into detail how Power Apps are used ultimately, like how they actually work behind the scenes. As I said, the core principle, the fundamental thing is our data. Now the data gets stored into various line of business applications, databases, or my own Dataverse, new data set that I'm creating. The Microsoft Power Apps comes up with a lot of standard connectors that can connect to these kinds of standard data sources. There are a lot of custom connectors available from third parties and partners of Microsoft, or the ISP who are building these applications. They are giving you these third-party Power Apps, Power Platform connectors that can also be used to add to your Power Apps to connect to these kind of underlying data systems. Once you are connected to those data systems, you build apps in something called Power Apps Studio. There are a bunch of types of apps. There's a Canvas app or data-centric apps or things like that you will be working on. And once you create these apps, you just publish them. Like once you start creating like a decent amount of apps, you want to make sure that it kind of lands up with the users in your organization. So you publish those apps. You can also define different set of permissions with those apps, like, hey, you want only these sets of people to use your app, or this kind of role to use your apps, or things like that. So it's kind of giving you that governance control along with this whole application data structure or application paradigm, where you can actually define the users of your apps and kind of control the use of your apps. And once they are published, they are available for users, the desired users, to be used on any of the mobile platform or the web platform. Now, as I'm talking about this, I mean, let me introduce you. Let me show you how these app actually look like. And I'm going to show you a few examples here and a few scenarios. Give me just a second. I'm going to start sharing my screen and let's go here. I'm going to minimize you. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. So let me start with one example that we kind of build it for Microsoft, a Microsoft campaign planning tool. Now, this tool was developed for Microsoft marketing team, and they wanted to organize all of their campaigns and all the activities that are going across their campaigns in a very systematic way. They were using multiple tool sets. They were using Dynamics. They were using Excel sheets. They were using SharePoint lists. All of those things were going on. We wanted to bring them and kind of create a universal standard, a data store that they can use it for multiple purposes. So we ended up creating a Dataverse-based data store, which was connected to Dynamics for certain aspects, and kind of trying to keep the data synchronized between two different areas. And we built this interface, which is hosted right now on Microsoft Teams inside Microsoft own environment. So just to give you an example, we kind of changed some of the things so that the information which is private to Microsoft stays private. But what you can see over here is that we have different kind of campaigns that are running, and these campaigns are running for certain period to certain period. Now, this is a Power App environment, which is kind of, think about this getting embedded into your Microsoft Teams, and I'll show you how it looks like. Or think about the same application is available on a browser, or if I'm using a tablet, I can actually see the same things. Now, the way these interfaces are designed, they are touch friendly, they are mouse friendly, they are very responsive across different form factors, so that you can get the right look and feel, a right interface, a right experience for users. Now you can see here in this particular example, we have these kinds of campaigns running. I can click on one of the campaigns and get all the details about the campaigns. I can click on show tactics and get into the details. Like if I open up the campaign, I can see all the details around the campaigns, which kind of solution area. Now, again, this is a classification that Microsoft does for their marketing campaigns and their reach outs that they are making with other people, other organizations. Now think about a very similar thing within your own organization and your own use case. You might have certain things which has got a lot of metadata or a lot of attributes that you may want to capture against that. A very simple interface like that, and all you need to do is that I added this field and make sure that it's a date field. I added this field and made sure it's a date field, and also I made sure that, okay, you know, whatever date I'm putting in the end date is actually greater than market date. So you can define these kinds of things. You can define business rules and logics and things like that very easily within the Microsoft App Studio, the Power App Studio. Now, coming in over here, I can just add all the details, go into the my stakeholders tab. I can connect this stakeholder list over here to a standard user list. Now, Microsoft Power Apps gives you a connector to your Active Directory, your Azure-based Active Directory, your SharePoint list, your user sets, or your a subset of user sets. So I can actually define these stakeholders to go into a subset of my user set, so that I'm not going through a list of thousands and thousands of people that work inside Microsoft. I just give them a very selective list of people, and they can go ahead, select them, add them, and go into tactics, where I'm defining the details of each of the campaign. A campaign consists of multiple tactics. I need to do like a specific referral tactic. I want to create a new event. I want to write a new book or things like that. So all of these big tactics, they are all elements. These are all activities that go in, and with each activities there are milestones, there are certain documents that are getting associated with it. All of those things kind of go in. Where is this useful? This is useful ultimately for anybody inside that marketing group to come in and see what all is going on with any specific campaign, and what all are the important dates that I need to be worried about in any on any particular day. So for that, we have created this kind of a calendar view within Microsoft Power Apps, which gives me a full view of like, hey, what is going on what date. I can also sort it or kind of filter it by a different kind of metadata that I talked to you about, and kind of look at this list over here, which is going to be like a direct access for me. Now, the one thing that I missed out taking a screenshot of, which is basically embedded Power BI. There might be scenarios where you may want to show a lot more details about these campaigns to the users. And for that purpose, maybe, you know what, Power BI might be a little bit too much. Power App might be a little bit too much. You may want to embed a Power BI based report. So you can easily embed a Power BI based control within your Power App and kind of show the data related to your collection and things like that. So there are capabilities within inside Power Platform that allows you to interchangeably use systems here and there. They all are powered by something called Microsoft Power Automate. Max introduced you to the Power Platform, and he talked about Microsoft Power Automate. Power Automate is the workflow engine behind the scenes that can trigger a lot of things behind the scenes. So Power App is very heavily dependent on Power Automate, where it kind of creates that connections between different systems, create the next steps, create that flow of screens that you would like to do at any for any particular process and all. And that's where Power Automate kind of comes in handy. To give you a second example, I want to show you something that goes into the real world scenario. And I mean to say real world in the sense like a non-technology world. When we talk about in the non-technology world, I'm talking about a company that we are working with, which is a water heater installation company. And for those guys, it's a kind of a common challenge that the plumbers in this company, they basically go to each individual houses and they start collecting information about what kind of water heater you have, what kind of setup it is there. They actually examine and capture like what is the water pressure and all before they start removing a water heater and replacing it with a new water heater or things like that. They are legally required to make sure that every work that they are doing is with the code that is mandated by that county, and they want to ensure that they are kind of legally covered and they are following a right process. Now, traditionally, what they have been using is a paper-based sheet, which kind of like they open up and they start capturing the things. Some of the things they miss out. Sometimes they don't do anything and they are required to take pictures. They open up another device to take the pictures, and then those pictures are kind of totally disconnected to the paper that I have. And all of all of these kind of different systems were creating problems for this particular water heater installation company, where they were having issues with the governance and with the kind of compliance across that. So for them, we kind of converted this whole paper-based system into an automated system. We implemented a Microsoft Dynamics 365 field services behind the scene, and then created a custom app for their plumbers to use for their daily purpose. Now, what they do is they open up their iPads, and this app is installed on their iPad, and they see, okay, you know what? What are the bookings for me as a plumber? Where do I need to go? So they can easily see the address. And right now we are adding that capability within the address, that when they click on address, it will go and open up the Maps app and show them the direction to this particular location. That's something that we are working on. But basically they can see that, okay, today from 8:30, I have got this particular house to go for. And then for the remaining of the day, I need to go and visit these other places, or else I need to reschedule them for another day or something like that. I can click on start my day and go to that particular first evaluation and like start capturing the information digitally. Now, important thing here is that I'm capturing this information on my iPad digitally, and it gives me a good way of capturing the photographs right over there. Because when I click on attach file over here, it opens up a camera, and I can click on the pictures of the water heater with pictures of the current installation. And as I'm entering the information over here, it is prompting me, hey, if existing water heater is leaking, can you check the drip pan? If the drip pan is missing and it is required by the code, then you have to make sure that you are adding a drip pan product in the code. Things like that you can actually basically ensure that your plumbers who are not like the kind of high-tech people, but they are still able to follow a simple UI, and they can actually follow a proper process and not miss out on things that they probably might miss if they are like in a hurry or something like that, because you can define certain things as required and you can define certain things as a kind of an optional kind of stuff. So you can keep on going, add all the details. You can click on different kind of tabs and get more details, and then finally come to your code building stage. And now this is a kind of a quick quotation builder for me. I'm looking at, you know what, this particular customer needs an expansion tank, needs certain walls and things like that. I can add them into this thing. I can add extra services over here. There are details over here, and everything goes into my final code that comes in over here. I can add extra notes over here, and then present this kind of whole detail to the customer, like, hey, go ahead and review this code, accept certain things, decline certain things, whatever it is required, and just proceed further. So you can go ahead and click on certain things, click on accept, and finally basically ensure that all of this data that as I'm working on this, as a plumber, I'm working on this, it's not only kind of it's a one-time thing, but the whole data, the whole capturing of all this information is digitally going back into my dynamic system. It is kind of updating all my customer records, all my accounts, all my inventory. When I start using certain things, all my inventory is getting updated. Every department in the supply chain is getting updated. It's accounting is getting notified that, okay, you know what, I've got this code finished, and as soon as the work is done, the accounting department can generate the right invoice and send it to the consumer. So these are some of the ways that you can start using Microsoft Power Apps. Now, I actually originally mentioned that you can embed Power Apps in Microsoft Teams. And just to showcase an example, this is our live Microsoft Teams over here. And we have this one app, which we call it as a continuous professional education kind of thing. And within our company, we are supposed to basically come in, add our goals on how we are going to work towards our continuous professional education. We can define what we are going to do. We are going to do a training. We are going to do a certain activity over here. This is the completion date, and how much of effort I'm going to put in. I believe I'm missing certain details over here. And once I submit it, it kind of goes into my record, and I'm not going to submit it because it's going to update my live record. And you basically start tracking people's goals around their continuous professional education. And all of this data goes into our Power BI based apps, and those Power BI basically within Microsoft Teams. Okay, I don't have permission to look at this one, but in any case, within Power Apps and within Microsoft Teams, I can actually look at all the data set that is kind of gets created after this. To give you another live example, let's go to another company that we work for. Now, this is for a large construction company in India, where they had a lot of engagements, a lot of projects running for. Now, in these construction companies, they have a lot of projects that are running. What happens is, like, every now and then, these projects need to be handed over to somebody else. They were having a lot of issues because the handover process within project system that they were having had a lot of challenges, and the handover by itself is a project, is a kind of a sub-project that they need to follow certain steps in order to do that. Now, they used Microsoft Project behind the scenes. So we connected to Microsoft Project behind the scenes and give them this interface where they can come in, create a new request. They can specify all the details about that particular project, add the payment terms, add the financial details, add team members onto the project so that they can these people can be notified with all the details, and as soon as this handover is approved, the new set of team can kind of start working on those engagements and those projects immediately. So this interface was created. Again, this is what you're seeing is a web-based interface, but this was mainly used on iPads because iPads give you that kind of a large form factor. Now, for the same company, there was a scenario where they wanted to make sure that everybody is submitting a daily progress report, which is a kind of a common requirement for a lot of construction companies, lot of EPC companies and these kinds of companies where they have to make sure that a daily progress report is submitted by their workers or their teammates. Now, traditionally, there were papers that you write your daily progress report and put it into some file which is never or ever visited ever kind of thing. Unless somebody has a problem, you open up and try to look for, okay, that day's report, where is that report and all. It's kind of a nightmare because you start collecting all of these daily progress reports from all your workers and everything, and it creates a huge amount of paper log for yourself or for your company to deal with. Now, for that particular company, we kind of created a very simple daily progress report app which is available on people's cell phone. Now, almost everybody in the world is using a kind of a smartphone device or smartphone system, whether it's an Android or iOS-based system. Microsoft Power App comes as a kind of a platform solution for both of them. So once you are logged in into Microsoft Power Apps, these apps are available for you to use, whether you are in iOS or Android, and these things are available. So we created this daily progress report app and give their users an interface where they can actually come in and submit their progress daily. So you come in over here, you select the date that you are going to submit it for, and select a project that you want to submit it for. So you selected a project. Now there are two types of progress update that they wanted to make, whether the supplies have come in or whether we have serviced those supplies or not. So as an individual, I can come in and I can click on supply and I can say, yeah, okay, let me my caps lock is on. I can come in and select the PV module and click on update progress. And when I click on update progress, I can see that what all details, like there were 75 needs to be coming over here. Let me see. Let me update this quantity over here. We probably have received another 20 today, and I can upload the picture of this. Like I can click on upload, and it kind of opens up a camera, and I can click on a photograph and kind of proof point that I have received these 20 and submit it for approval. And as soon as I submit it, it kind of goes into the system digitally, and I can basically be assured that, okay, my progress has been submitted to the thing. Now, same way, I can come in over here and I can update on the service side of the things. I can select which particular project I am talking about, which particular module I am talking about. And when I go ahead and select different kind of tasks and activities that were given to me, I can pick up any of these things and update a progress on that. Like, okay, for this particular module, I was able to finish like 3 of them or something like that. And I can again upload the picture, say, okay. Now you can see that how quickly I was able to submit my progress right over here. Think about it in the real world scenario where people are, your construction workers are on the ground and they don't want to fill in their paperwork with the greasy hands and things like that, but they are using their phone. They can just open it up, tuck, within 3 seconds, they can submit their daily progress report and their life is easy after that. And then not only their life, the organization's life is easier because everything is captured digitally. All the nuances, all the alerts that you can create out of that data set can be done. These data sets can be viewed using Microsoft Power BI or things like that. So with that, Max, if you can go back to the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second here. Is it visible?
Yes, go to the next.
Yep.
Yeah. With that, I want to highlight certain things that we just covered today. Like, I mean, where all Power Apps kind of getting used. Power Apps, as we talked about, that that's a tool which basically allows organization to transform themselves from a legacy and a paper-based organization or a old application-based organization to a modernized digitally run, efficient and optimized organization. Now, for that particular purpose, you need to think about a couple of things over here. uh, it kind of gives you a platform which can help you kind of extend your legacy application, which might be running on traditional line of business apps, old systems and things, and create a new interface over it. Just case in example, I was talking to you about Dynamics Field Services, which is not an old application, but still it's sometimes kind of complicated for non-tech users to use. So for them, we created this Power Apps based interface, which can be helpful for them. Now, there can be areas where you want to extend your Office 365 applications, and you may want to use those kinds of things. Now, with Office 365, you can actually repurpose a lot of things that you might have already created, like maybe SharePoint-based data sets that you might have created. Like a lot of people have used lists to create certain data sets. You can actually easily connect to those lists and create a nice interface. You can embed your Power App within SharePoint. Now, SharePoint app, the traditional app are going away, and the traditional web parts are going away, and they are being replaced with Microsoft Power Apps anyways. So when you go with Office 365, it gives you a very easy interface on clicking and creating a new Power App right over there within the list environment, and the list is taken as your data source for that particular Power App. It gives you a quick way of doing this. Now, same thing, whether you're using Microsoft Excel or things like that, you can start thinking about converting those Excel-based things into Power Apps quickly. Now, these are some low-hanging fruits that your organization can start and working towards those. Similarly, as I'm talking about Office 365, within Dynamics 365, also, as I said, that there are some complex interfaces, complex things, but you can actually initiate or create some layer over those traditional applications and add Power BI, Power App on it. Or there's another way. If there is a complex scenario within your process, within your sales process, within your field services process, within your project management process, and that particular scenario cannot be like very well represented with the standard screens that comes out of Dynamics 365, you can actually create your own Power App and embed that Power App within Dynamics 365 interfaces, not only on the web, but also on mobile platforms or any of the tablet-based platforms as well. So let's, I just want to make sure that I have covered almost all the things over here. Yeah, let's move to the next one and talk about like how do we scale from where we are. So Shane, please go ahead and provide us the details on that.
All right. Well, there's not a lot of detail on it. It's pretty simple. So with Power Apps, you can build your solutions at scale. You can maintain governance and security and the quality standards. And what you basically can do is take what was an issue inside your organization and turn it into an organizational strength. And if you'll go to the next slide, I'll kind of talk about that for just a second. So we worked with a company, and I'm not going to go as in-depth as Dharmesh does because he does that very well, but and I can't talk that fast. But the AA Asphalting was an organization that we worked with, and they are one of the largest asphalt and concrete restoration companies in the Pacific Northwest. So they do a lot of business. And they were built upon basically manual processes and using Excel and using email to communicate and using manually assigning roles where there are opportunities or assigning folks to the jobs that they did. So we worked together with them. We implemented a CRM system, which is Dynamics 365. And as you can imagine, going from the kind of the rudimentary, the crawl stage of using all of those different manual processes to Dynamics is like walking to flying a jet. So a lot of that was a little bit of overkill for the folks that worked in their office, and it was very complex, and it added a lot of complexity to their systems. So we developed, using PowerApps, some custom interfaces so that it allowed the folks that were answering the phones and taking, the basic details first to enter it directly into PowerApps, and PowerApps then handed it off to Dynamics 365, which would then run the automated scripts within it and basically set up the entire opportunity, as much as we could from the information that we could gather. And beyond that too, once that opportunity was in, once the job started going and you started working and had other things coming back, you were able to use those same kind of interfaces for status updating, any kind of equipment repair reporting, or incident reporting for their customers that they had. So it basically introduced that Power App process to them and made everything update and track quickly, and really kind of revolutionized the way they do business. Max, so I guess we can conclude and see how we can help these folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're probably thinking like, hey, this is a little bit much and I don't know how to get started. Well, just to let you know that digital transformation doesn't happen overnight, right? You need to start small. And we believe that Microsoft Power Platform is actually a really great place to start. And we're also here to help anybody. And just for being in today's webinar, we like to offer everybody here a complimentary discovery call where, we can pretty much chat about anything. If you just want to share your thoughts with us, if you want to know our opinions on any of your plans for your digital transformation journey, or if you would just like to know more about our implementation process, we're more than happy to help you identify your business processes and how you can streamline them, or list any applications that could be modernized in order to solve, most of these business scenarios and challenges. So with that said, I just want to post a final poll on everybody's screen, and participating on these will help us a lot. So we really appreciate it if you could. Again, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. If you ever thought about developing your own unique app, Power App is an amazing tool that is very cost efficient. And for us here at Advaiya, we deliver unique tailored solutions, and we can help you make that app come to life. Here is our information. Reach out to us. Email us. You can email us at connect@advaiya.com, or check our website out. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to unmute yourself or type it in chat.
Yeah, one of the common questions that comes in that I've noticed, and probably we started that question as well earlier, about the licensing around Power Platform. Power Platform licensing has been evolving since they have been launched. There is a separate licensing model for Power BI, and it kind of comes in 2-3 flavors over there. And there is also a licensing kind of related to the whole Microsoft 365 licensing. So it's not very straightforward sometimes, and it sometimes can feel confusing. Please reach out to us and we'll be able to help you guys in determining the right licensing level for any of your applications or any of your ideas regarding Power Apps or Power BI or any of the Power Platform solution. And we can help you in streamlining and optimizing your licenses around those.
And here's all our information, and thank you guys for coming.